Common Council meeting for March 18, 2013. Would everyone please rise for indication and pledge allegiance?
Gracious God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for how you continue to bless us and keep us. We thank you for all that you do for us and all you continue to watch over us. We thank you, God, for how you protect our community and watch over our community. Bless you, please be with this council tonight. Be with these leaders, Lord. Be with their families. Help them to continue to have the wisdom they need to make the decision that's best for our city and for our community. Bless you, continue to give them the courage they need to make the decisions they need for our community. And also, God, help them to understand and be objective to do what's right. It's not about them, but it's about what they represent and who they represent and how they can continue to do the things to change our community. We just thank you, God, for being who you are to continue to watch over us. We thank you for your being always present, for your all-knowing, and for all your power, God. We ask you, God, to continue to help us to just depend on you. We ask you all our steps. We also pray for our mayor, pray for all of our leaders, all of our staff persons for our city. We ask you to be with them and watch over them. And God, also we ask you to be with our first responders. Continue to watch over them, continue to protect them, and watch over our community. And we also, God, in a special manner, pray for our president, President Barack Obama. Ask you to be with him and strengthen him in all things. This prayer we ask in the name of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Councilperson Smith. Councilperson Zestadny. Councilperson Payne.
Here.
Councilperson Gill. Councilperson Glover.
Here.
Council President Sellers. Here. Council Vice President Julius. Councilperson Owen.
Here.
Councilperson Samuel.
Here.
The record reflects all councilpersons present. Approval of the agenda. I have one item that we need to add. It actually should have already been on here. We tabled it at the last meeting and it just did not get put on, and that's the police bond. It should have been carried over. And I would like to put that on under unfinished business. Are they here? Is anybody here? I would like to put that under one. Do we need to put that under new business or? No? Okay, let's just make it 1A after Nathan Samuels. Sorry.
Hold on.
Don't problem.
Councilor Piper, another item that I would request that we added to the agenda, at least on first reading, ordinance of additional appropriation. In your packet, there was a notice to initiate a special appropriation, to advertise a special appropriation, requesting that ordinance to that effect also be put on the agenda, but not pass on all three readings, just first reading, because otherwise we're going to delay the process.
On the same issue,
Same
Where's it at?
numbers.
Where's it at on here?
notice.
Oh, number 2. Can we just add that under it? Okay. Are there any other changes? Motion to approve the changes. I have a motion second to approve the agenda as amended by adding the police bond and the ordinance under new business under number 2. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Minutes to be approved. Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the common council minutes from March 4th, 2013. Any other comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Claims to be approved. Requesting approval of operating in the amount of $4,200,000
$1,070,445. If there are no questions. I also have one additional hand carry claim. It's for the Urban Enterprise Zone. It's for 2013 Jeffersonville Neighborhood Leadership Institute program for $15,000.
Yes, I asked her to bring that, we approved that at the last meeting, but we have to get that to him so he can start buying.
Also, the UEZ did approve the $5,000 match, so it's a total of 20. And the UEZ was saying the contractual commitment for the class, I think Connie kind of reserved, but so everything's been approved, so.
So how much the class total is going to be $20,000?
No, it's not, it's a low number.
Yeah, but that's,
It's
One's 20.
so UEZ with these 5 and the city council is 15. Total of 20.
So the total then would be $1,085,445.62.
correct.
Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
A second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the city claims in the amount of $1,085,445.62.
I had a couple of questions, Jeremy. On page 4, there's one for Insight for $229.09. That just seemed high for, normally we have a cable bill for $50. So I should give you a check for it. I asked them for you to explain it, but
I can check
I
that.
could check that when it says for Station 4.
Sure.
It just seems unusual. Then I have a couple of other questions. Page 12, under the federal asset forfeiture, the description, the clerk shall release as first lease payment for almost $8,000. Is that an annual payment? The lease payment threw me off for that amount. So that's a question that I would have.
Annual, that's an annual payment.
That was actually what was approved on the Board of Public Works, releasing 4 vehicles. It was an annual payment. We discussed that in the Board of Public Works. So that would, the same would be then under the next category below, the non-voting, the 2 leases there. There's one for $11,000, one for $14,000. That's just one annual payment.
Yes, annual.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions or comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed? Okay, all opposed? Motion carries. Okay, before the clerk?
I was going to talk to you about CIS. We had some complaints about the sounding or amplifiers, and I wanted to let you know that we are taking care of that. I spent about 2 hours with Matt down around here on the phone with technical support. EMP have tried to fix this, and we know it has to do with this box. So they are going to send someone from Florida, from their headquarters, free of charge to come and get this fixed for us. I don't know when that's going to be scheduled. Hopefully it'll be before the next meeting. But as a backup, we are running the cooling as well.
Okay. Well, is that all?
That's it.
Okay. Department head, Andy Crouch.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to request the amendment of the salary ordinance to include a water resources coordinator. I've already spoken with the drainage board, and they have approved this position to pay for all of its expenses. As it stands right now, there is not a full-time person or position that is over all of the drainage board projects. This person would be that person. My office's time is spread amongst wastewater, drainage, some parks-related issues, and transportation. This person would be strictly dedicated to stormwater. The Drainage Board has just gone through about a 1.5 year long process, getting a stormwater master plan in place. They are looking at initially about 10 or 11 projects just to get started. This person would be overseeing those projects, managing the project, they would be managing the consultant, and then for any construction-related projects that we put out to bid, we would be looking at them to do some of the engineering inspection on that as well. So I'm here for any questions.
Andy, what kind of qualifications for that position and salary?
Is that a pay grade 7, and I believe the minimum on that is $37,391. We are requesting, at a minimum, a high school diploma, but we would prefer at least an associate's degree.
I was going to say, because you're talking...
Some kind of background on water resources is what we're looking for.
I did email the job description out to everybody, and bringing up that the Drainage Board did make a change from being able to lift 10 pounds to 40 pounds, and that was really the only change they made during the job description, and it was passed unanimously through
That was
Drainage
past the
Board.
last Drainage Board meeting, I wasn't there.
And where will they work out of?
We will have a place for them at the City Services building upstairs with the Drainage Department.
And they will work under you
Or directly underneath me.
Okay. Has the Finance Committee noted this or made a recommendation?
Yes, the drain is still being paid on Drainage. They agreed to pay full salary.
And the Finance Committee aware of it, are they?
Yeah, I was aware of it, because of the- yeah.
Supportive of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the addition of this position?
Or is it changing the salary ordinance, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is it in the salary?
Scott, we have to make the motion to include the position of Water Resource Coordinator in the salary ordinance. Can you add that to your motion, please, Ed?
Yes.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to add a water resource coordinator for drainage into the salary ordinance. And how much will he be paid? Or she?
It's a pay grade 7.
Pay grade 7, from pay grade 7, minimum. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. Just to clarify, we'll have to pass a salary ordinance with the Senate, right?
Right.
It's just giving them the go-ahead, saying we will do that?
Right.
That's what I mean.
Well, it's supposed to be, should be presenting the salary.
If I could, later on, we're going to be presenting proposed amendments to the salary ordinance. And although this is not included on what's before you,
We can add it
simply make a motion to amend the salary ordinance to include
Okay.
So, I'm just making sure that I'm understanding correctly. We made the motion to approve the position, but a salary ordinance will have to be passed twice. So,
Just a minute.
you'll come back and pass this on a second round?
Yes. Right. And as far as I know, he has to be started at the minimum, and this comes before the council. At the minimum in that pay range.
Right.
Or she.
Or she, sorry.
And so that was passing a salary ordinance on the first reading, but
We've got to add it in.
And then we'll come back here in a little while and consider the salary ordinance with that amendment on, with that position on.
okay.
Did we pass this? I can't remember. We passed it. Okay, because when you talked about, oh, did we? Okay. Any other department heads? Yeah, I am. Judge Pierce. Yes, ma'am. Well, I want to clarify department head, you're not a department head, you're an elected official, so we're going to let you speak. Well, I'd like you to keep it as brief as possible, and under 10 minutes if you can. And please try to get on the agenda next time, if you're going to be on the agenda. It's okay this time, but I know before we've allowed you to speak under department heads, but you're really not those are appointed positions by the mayor, so.
To clarify then, so from now on, I need to get on the agenda.
Right.
Okay.
Just-
Well, actually, I would have done more about that. I had a meeting with Ms. Deering here. I guess it would have been late last week, and so I had some things I wanted to bring before the council, and I was aware that you all were going to address some salary ordinance issues, so I have prepared some handouts for everyone. I believe, and after you guys and your attorney was the one who brought the report here, so. Just take one. See around there.
Approve an additional.
Now, I prepared essentially 3 different statutes there that, that's mine. Let's go on, sorry. That's right.
That's okay, we'll get it.
Well, I said there's 3 different statutes there. One is IC 3335 3-7, and it's real simple. It's a statute that indicates a judge of a city or town court shall provide, at the expense of the city or town, all books, dockets, papers, and printed blanks necessary for the discharge of the duties of the court. Okay? Now, I know my budget is going to be addressed, and I tried to discuss this. There was a meeting, I guess 2 weeks ago, I guess a week and a half ago, regarding my budget, where I was informed that, well, we kind of have one copy, or who cares who pays for that, and just you guys just know how to share things. I want to make sure the council is very aware that it's been made clear before last time that this issue came up between the 2 offices, that council probably needs to watch out doing anything that's going to cause me, or Ms. Conlon, or anyone else in the city to do something against statute. Okay? So this is a statute telling me that I'm to provide these items and these documents. And so for this portion of the year, I haven't been able to do that so far, and I want to make the council very aware that that's where I stand on that issue. Also in there is, I believe it's from IC 11-13, 1-2 or 3-2, I'm not sure, 1-2, all right? And what that statute indicates is that a court that has the ability to appoint probation staff, which Just City Court does, shall appoint administrative personnel. Okay? That I think are necessary, but the court thinks is necessary. Okay? And also shall set their salary and should be paid by the city. Now, I had that individual. The last time I was before you guys, it was in December, when the employee decisions were made, the space decisions were made, and also the financial account decisions were made. There was discussion about employees being switched, but it was never entered into the council. I did agree that 2 of my 4 staff employees would switch departments. About 3 weeks later, I received a letter indicating that I was going to lose yet a 3rd employee. Okay, that employee was to be my operations assistant, my operations secretary. I've been deprived of that position. I have statutory right to have it. I brought it up at the council, not that council meeting, at the budget meeting the other day, and was told, well, it's already been changed. I'm not changing it until you have your job descriptions done through Ms. Gross. Ms. Gross on vacation last week. She now has my job description. She's working on them. I don't think it matters because it's a shall. It says the court shall appoint these individuals and the city shall pay them. I had an employee taken away from me. Council didn't vote. I did not terminate that employee. I don't know how that happened. Someone just started getting paid out of a different fund. Okay? So, only council will aware of that. That's yet another statutory duty that's been given to me that's been infringed upon. Lastly, you have a copy of the probation ordinance. And that ordinance, not the ordinance, sorry, statute, indicates I've highlighted the second page. Okay? And it indicates, essentially, that city and town court probation goes to a local adult supplemental fund. And that's very different from county court, state courts. It goes to county supplemental probation fund. As I highlighted there, that money can be spent for probation purposes or other court purposes, essentially. It's very clear. Okay? So this is to inform you, the council, of my position as it relates to personnel and my other duties that I had before me. I'm asking for the council's assistance with this. Obviously, I don't want to violate statute. So, I spoke with Ms. Young. I'm supposed to get with her, I think, in the next week or so regarding some of my final numbers as well. But my salary ordinance, really and truly, is not what I proposed, and I was told it wasn't going to be how I proposed it. However, I think I have statutory authority behind me that says I can. So, if the council has any questions for me, if the council wants to direct me on how to proceed, let me set on a meeting, I'd like to just please advise. Is this addressed in our salary ordinance, part of this later?
No,
My portion is tabled for this meeting, because they're waiting on job descriptions, which I would agree to comply with, but once again, I don't think they're necessary. I have a statutory authority to appoint a bailiff, a statutory authority to appoint probation secretary, and then statutory duties with regard to, the clerical needs.
If I may, because a lot of what he's freeing up is part of any lawsuit between himself and the court as far as duties and positions and all that. I would just recommend at this time that anything that he's proposing be tabled or until further consideration, until there's a ruling from the court case. Because I think as far as what these detailed duties are, in interpretation of statutes, that's one thing that court case is going to rule on in the case. And I will point out that Judge, that when you said that the statute says that regarding local supplemental appropriation services on the use of anything separate from the county, I would just refer you to the Indiana Supreme Court case, because there is language in there that says that the city and town courts, probation user fee funds, follow the same rules as the county probation.
With regard to the fiscal body's access to that money.
But even where they can be used for, when you say they can be used for anything to determine, I caution you to read that case. It's very clear that there's language in there that says that court ruling is still applicable towards the city and county court.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. I've read it.
So, yeah, well, I was part of that case, so I know that it's...
Congratulations. If we're going to table this issue, then I would imagine us table all the issues regarding both departments then. Would that not make sense? The case that's pending right now has nothing to do with salaries and employees. It has to do with duties. I'm going to ask you about any duties. If the statute says I have to provide, I have to provide to the court. I would like to do that. There's a statute that says I have to appoint people to make my probation if I want to work. I'd like to do that. I don't think that has anything to do with the lawsuit.
So we're going to go on what you say, Scott, so...
Okay.
So Scott, your recommendation is to table all of this pending lawsuit?
That would be my recommendation. I think it's a courtesy to himself and the city clerk, if they would like to have further meetings with the finance committee to talk about this or to talk about where the court case is going. I think that's more appropriately done, those types of meetings, rather than here at this meeting, since there's pending litigation.
With all due respect, I still then wonder how I lost an extra employee and how all the other budgetary items are going to get approved, even though there's pending litigation.
Well, I've seen that there's a resignation letter talking about that resigned. It wasn't taken from the employee resigned.
And that employee has been being paid out of the clerk's office. Are you telling me that I can go and hire my own employee right now?
No, I'm telling you that. What you're talking about as far as these duties of employees, that's part of what is pending before the court in the lawsuit.
I would beg to differ.
I think any discussion since the litigation with the city, I think that can be something that can be discussed in an executive session.
Okay. So, then I'm going to table this and...
Things that are pending before court in litigation, I think that's more appropriately discussed in an executive session legally than it is in the...
So the way I look at this is the judge has reported information to us, told us information that he feels like he has certain statutory authority and rights, and now we've got to accept that, take it under advisement, whatever, and respond to that at some point.
That's all here. I'm not asking for action out of you guys, I promise. I also please advise how to proceed, because if we're gonna wait till this pending litigation is over, the last case that I was involved in actually has been dismissed, and it's still gonna be appealed. So, I don't know when this pending litigation will be over, but I also do know that I have an office I'm responsible for running.
10 minutes is up.
10 minutes is up, okay,
Yes,
thank
try to
you.
keep it 10 minutes.
Fine.
Okay, thank you.
Do it.
We will take it under advisement. Thanks. Okay, do you want to do probate?
I'm going to start off by doing something different at a council meeting. I'm going to read a verse of scripture from Romans chapter 13, verse 7. It says, "Give to everyone what you owe them. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor." We talk a lot about taxes, and Mom, I want to talk about taxes right now. Tonight I want to give honor to someone who deserves it. I'd ask Mr. Phil Bates if he'd step forward to the podium, or just up front for a moment. Thank you, Phil. I was starting back in 1967. Hopefully I have my facts correct, and if not, certainly Phil can correct me, or there's a number of folks in the audience that are here to support Phil and to give him honor tonight. But Phil started back in 1967 under the redevelopments and our housing authority for Jeffersonville. His title, as I understand it, was a relocation specialist in 1969. Then after that, he moved up to the Director of Relocation and Social Services, where he helped relocate a number of families and get that established in our city. Then he moved up to Housing Manager. Then he moved up to Deputy Director. Then he moved up to Executive Director. And most recently, last October, he retired in October of 2012. Phil has been active in our community on countless boards, and I have a whole list of boards that I won't take the time to read them all, but he's been a very active member of this community. Phil has devoted his life to the housing needs of those that need help in our community, and I appreciate that. This man needs recognition, and according to what I read a while ago, which I believe honor is definitely due this guy. Phil, the City Council would like to present you with a plaque, and I'll come out there in a moment. And in a moment, I'd like the whole council to come in and get a picture with you for the paper. It says, "On behalf of the citizens, businesses, mayor, and the entire City Council, thank you for 43 years of dedicated service, assisting and caring for those in need. You have made a difference in the lives of countless individuals." So I'd like to present this for our thanks. We're going to have to say something here next year. First, you get your picture and paper.
I know, I don't want to see that. Hey, let me see.
I got it. I say cheese.
Finish with one more.
Before Philip speaks, I know there's a number of folks from the housing department in here, some former, I believe Mr. Goins, former executive director, is here to support some of the members. I'd ask for those that are associated with the Housing Authority to please stand up. I would like to introduce Kirk Mann, who is actually the acting executive director.
He's actually...
He is the executive director. Kirk, if you still let them see you again. I know Kirk came to us from Southern Illinois, and he started back in September, just before Philip retired. So, Phil, this is your moment to say anything you'd like to say. And,
Very quickly, keep you to 10 minutes. Very quickly. First of all, Common Council, Mayor, other elected officials. Back in 1969, when I started with the authority, actually it was redevelopment and the Housing Authority, I had absolutely no idea what I was getting myself into. I had not heard about redevelopment or community development, but the first 23 years of my work experience was involved with relocating families and individuals and businesses in the community development areas here in the city. That included Fulton Terrace, Claysburg, the downtown Riverside Central area, and the riverfront. Those years were very interesting. I had the opportunity of meeting all kinds of individuals, meaning positive individuals, and they gave me the experience of dealing with folks here in the community. As you know, to be in a position for 42 years requires a good staff, and it requires a interested and common council with vision, as well as a mayor. One thing that I'd like to leave you with, and I certainly appreciate this honor, is that the city of Jeff has changed over the last few years. The city needs to continue to change. And one of the things that I know that the city needs to complete, if it hadn't already completed, is a comprehensive plan. And that comprehensive plan needs to include vision with regards to subsidy housing in this community. So with that comprehensive plan, we'll have a roadmap for future growth. I certainly appreciate the honor, and I look forward to working with you in the future. My position has totally changed. I'm retired. So I can pick and choose a bit. If I can be of any assistance in the future, I would more than gladly do that. Thank you so much for the honor.
Okay, and next up it would be Stashnerkley and Police Bond.
Yeah, this is a resolution that was tabled at the last meeting per my request, since Umball Financial Advisors were not available to our meeting. Brian Colton from Umball is here. He does not intend to make a presentation, but he's on hand if you have any questions. What you have before you is a resolution to authorize the issuance of up to $11 million in bonds, basically the redevelopment bonds. This is for the construction of the police station. The
bond. It will be backed up with TIF dollars. I know there's been discussion regarding the past year as to the extent of what Lloyd will be available for the bond payments. The bottom line is that's a budgetary decision that the council will have to decide when it comes budget time on an annual basis. I think redevelopment's expecting some assistance from Lloyd, but at the end of the day, redevelopment's on the hook for the annual bond payment of approximately $800,000. The project is slated, assuming everything goes to plan, and we close on the bonds by the first part of May. The plan is to break ground by June 1. The cost of the actual construction of the police station will depend on the bids and which alternates we accept. We've included several alternates to give us as much flexibility as possible when it comes to the bidding. On the low end, or the high end, the estimated construction costs with all alternates would be approximately $6.8 million. On the low end would be approximately $5.5 million without all the alternates. Again, those are estimates. We'll find out for sure when we open up the bids as to where we're at on as it relates to the estimates and the cost. So this is a bond resolution. Let me hand out to you a timetable. This has changed slightly because we've had to reschedule some meetings because of spring break. But this timetable plan is to close April 25th. I don't expect us to hit that date. We may have some special meetings. We still have to go back to the redevelopment commission for a public hearing. Also, once we approve this resolution, it goes back to the redevelopment commission for a public hearing. And also at that time, the redevelopment commission will have to adopt another resolution for purposes of appropriating the money from the bond. So, and if you recall, we've already amended the economic development plans for both the Intercity Road and for Falls Landing to include the police station project. Also, we have expended, not sure exactly the dollar figure, but several $100,000 out of Lloyd in anticipation of this bond. And if you recall, last year, the council adopted a reimbursement resolution, so when we close on this bond, all the money has been expended out of Lloyd for the police station, including land acquisition, preliminary engineering, and so forth, would be reimbursed to Lloyd. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. Brian Colton from Umball is here. We are fairly confident that we have more than enough coverage out of the TIFs to make the bond payment. And also have additional money for other projects as well. Also, we believe right now, I think we're anticipating $2.4 million this year out of Lloyd. That's up from just right around a little under $2 million last year. So Lloyd, the revenues are going up. But again, for purposes of this bond resolution, it's TIF dollars, but obviously redevelopment's expecting some assistance from Lloyd down the road when the bond payments begin.
I have a question. You said the estimated cost would be $6.8 million. So construction. So why are we looking at $11 million bond? I know $1 million of that would come back to Lloyd.
Yep.
Because that's what we
have to have a debt reserve.
So that makes it $8.
Yep, you got to have a debt reserve of one bond payment, which is another $800,000, plus you have issuance cost, closing cost, legal fees, which that's not me, but you have bond counsel, and also you have financial advisors and underwriters and so forth.
Does this include the furniture too, though?
Yes.
Or is that included in the construction cost? That's separate.
That's be separate. This
includes
furniture.
Turnkey.
Yes.
And I think that it doesn't include back here for the police station to be redone, so we can...
That's correct.
And this is bid out already?
It's out to bid. We have a pre-bid meeting tomorrow. So,
It also includes a line item for security pros.
yes.
Resolution number?
3. I'd like a motion to approve resolution 2013-3.
Have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 3, 2013. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
This is an up to $11 million.
$11 million. It could be less. We will, we're anticipating that we should get some good bids because of the economy like we did on the Big 4 station, or Big 4 bridge, but we're waiting to see. And I think, this is not although it's backed up with TIF dollars, this is not going to be a redevelopment project. Redevelopment's not going to oversee the construction of this. This is a city project and will be ran through the Board of Public Works and oversaw by the city. I know the administration right now is looking at possibly retaining a project manager to help us with that, and we believe in the long run that'll save us some money because we can usually, a project this big, if we have a project manager, usually we can save some money as we go along.
How does that work? Why are we going through the Board of Public Works and not through redevelopment?
Because for 2 reasons. One, redevelopment they don't want this to be their project, or they're floating the bond and they're going to pay the bond payments, but
I think that'd be the reason they would take it on. It's their money.
They've made it clear they did not want it to be a redevelopment project, because I know there were some questions about that earlier with some council members. And then secondly, it makes it much easier, because I've been through this before, redevelopment meets once a month, Board of Public Works meets weekly. It's much easier to pay claims and to approve change orders on a weekly basis as opposed to once a month.
So then will redevelopment have to transfer funds to, how does the Board of Public Works claims with TIF dollars?
Redevelopment still have to approve the claims, but overseeing the actual day-to-day construction of the project is not going to be redevelopment.
Okay.
So redevelopment has to try an agreement that they, okay.
We did the same thing with City Hall, if you recall. For purposes of approving change orders and so forth.
Okay, you're up again, so I didn't know if you had to go get something. Okay. Sidewalk.
Just a flat number.
You have in front of you again is an ordinance that I believe has been adopted on previously. It's before you for final reading. This was an ordinance that establishes a basically sidewalk fee in lieu program. I know this has been discussed previously. I know it's been debated a great deal among council members. And I think the last meeting, the only question regarding this was the exhibit. I have the exhibit. Questions about this as well?
There's a question, we had a question up here.
We passed this on the, what?
First reading.
Second reading. The ordinance that you have in front of you is basically what is recommended.
This is after. Thank you.
But you have an exhibit A, the last meeting, this was an exhibit A that came from the planning commission, also from the city engineer, also from director of planning
Maybe it
and
was
zoning.
last, maybe it was number 4, I don't know, I can't remember. Case to case, maybe it was...
We passed ordinance 2013-01 on the third and final reading.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 2013-001 on the third reading. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, we talked about this, and of course you wasn't here, but a price on permeable concrete, and if it's not on here. Similar to what we put in,
No.
how's that? When they go in, they put a lot of rock, and it actually absorbs the water. It's more green, more EPA friendly versus solid concrete. We did it at the Preservation Park
we probably get several projects, but I know that's one of them, but we discussed that at the last meeting before she wasn't here, but, I don't know if that's an issue that needs to be added, or can we add it later, or we can add it later, whatever you want, but we did. Or you could amend this with the descriptor of permeable or porous concrete, and let Andy come up with the cost.
These costs are subject to change.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so you want that as well.
Those are just guidelines for
Right.
Yeah, I would like to add in there permeable, and Andy can add the per foot.
So on Exhibit A, you want permeable?
That'd be fine.
So I'm in my motion to include addition of permeable concrete in the project.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Sorry. Okay, new business. I think we were supposed to table this.
Take it out if you would.
Do I need to take a...
Motion to table. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to table doing up in Melissa Woods with the resolution of the City Council authorizing the submittal of a disaster application to the Indiana Office Community and Real Affairs and addressing related matters. They will not be able to understand that on the computer if they're watching it. Okay.
I don't understand, I was present.
I know. Amy Barron? Oh, I'm sorry. No, first and second, all in favor, signify. Motion carries.
I hope nobody opposed.
I know. I don't think so, didn't
What you have before you here is a resolution to initiate a special appropriation, and this is so we have approval to advertise in the paper.
And if we would, real quick, there was one item that was not listed here, which would ask that there be a motion to amend this resolution to include, as Andy mentioned earlier, the water reserve coordinator it would be a special appropriation to come out of the drainage fund, $37,391. That would be in addition to the total of $199,614.10.
That'd be a total of $237,005.10.
Okay.
What was the amount on the drainage resource coordinator and special...
Water resource, $37,391.
$391, okay, thank you. $37,391.
And what was the total? I'm sorry, I was trying to write as fast as I could.
$237, $5.10.
237.
I do have a question. We moved 3 or more staff out of the court. We were told tonight that the court is allowed to have an administrative assistant according to statute. We have to address that at some point, via that or via lawsuit. How do we address that? Do we take the administrative, and I don't even know if that was the title before, back? Do we put in an administrative assistant? You know, we changed this because of state statute originally. Because the clerk showed us that the state statute said this is not her duties. So we followed that, and now we have...
Well, I think that's part of the issue is we don't know whose duties are what because that's why the judgment's going to court. And that's what is that what the lawsuit?
The big dispute is over the duties and authorities and so forth. This particular resolution is just to advertise, to initiate the appropriation, so it just have to be final action. This is just the advertisement, and I do believe that
these employees are in place right now.
Yeah, we
so the
better
decision has to be
continue.
made how to clean them right now. But part of what Nathan's concerns are, that is all part of that lawsuit that's going to be addressed out of that lawsuit. Depending upon which way the court rules, we can always go back to reallocate these positions.
Well, I think honestly, every time we take action on this stuff, we get another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, we do.
And up until this point, these are the decisions that the Finance Committee have recommended, and these are the decisions that we've talked about up until this point. So, in my opinion, I think we should go ahead with this, and everything else we need to hold off on pending this lawsuit coming up. But, these are decisions that we've made, and every time we make decisions, we get another piece. So let's follow through with what we've decided and talked about already, hold on everything else, and move forward from there. That's just my bit.
Well, the only thing I would add to that is the judge said, this case may not be decided for another, let's just say on the best side, 6 months.
All right.
So 6 months, is he supposed to run the court without what he believes he's statutorily allowed to have? I mean, I'm just asking, I don't know. I mean, is it your opinion
Well,
that...
I think that's why we said we would take it under advisement and talk about it.
Yeah, I think that could be part of an executive session, and I can't speak for the judge, but if he feels like he needs to get an emergency hearing, you can always ask for an emergency hearing and not wait. I mean,
Okay, I was
so there's procedures from his end in the lawsuit that he can do things as he wants, so.
Okay.
But I believe some of what we're being asked to decide, I think it might be, it's too much involved in litigation that it would be more suitable for an executive session as far as some of these other details.
And I accept that. However, I do know that when we were showed that we were not meeting statute, we acted immediately for the clerk, because she showed us that we were not meeting the statute for her to do her duties. And I think when we have another elected official or a judge, in this case, come and show us statute, and I'm not an attorney, and I didn't sleep in a Holiday Inn last night, so I don't know, and I do rely on our attorneys.
What does that mean?
But I think we need to I think we need to get to the end of it quickly, because we need to be consistent with our actions. If we find out we're against statute, let's address it. If not,
address us at a council meeting and say, hey, this is what I found. She came to us and said, hey, the State Board of Accounts says that this is the way it's supposed to be, which is a little bit different, I think.
And we didn't have a lawsuit. That changes the game when we have a lawsuit, so.
I mean, ultimately, we have to manage our employees.
I have a motion.
A second.
Can I have a motion, a second? Question?
Question. On here, it shows fire department staff vehicles, $60,000.
Oh, yes.
Appropriation. And I noticed in the edit for today's claims is about the same thing for fire vehicles. Was this really, was it supposed to be paid out of LOA in first?
It was, that is a mistake on the claims list, and I'm going to correct to pay out of Lloyd.
Okay.
The $60,000.
So we need to try to take some kind of action to change the claims. Right? Is that right, Scott? So,
Yeah, there was a mistake.
Well, let's do that.
we'll do that later.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that. Good catch.
I have a motion, a second. Are there any other questions or comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now let's...
I'd like to make a motion to amend the claims for the two items under edit related to the fire department vehicles and make them paid out of the LOA instead of edit. Is that the first two line items? Yeah, on the final page, it's the top two line items.
I have a motion, a second, to correct the claims, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think, to correct the claims, to move the fire trucks to lower it from edit in the amount of $60,000. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Can I ask a question real quick? And Andy, you may not be able to answer this, but one of them's for $33,000, the other one's for $26,000. That's roughly $7,000 difference. I don't know what the difference is.
I don't know.
Claims.
Somebody got something more than the other.
Well, I reckon that's the problem with what we did. We we approved up to $60,000. I just asked a question, but I know, big difference, $7,000. I agree. And that's kind of, I just don't know where we get that with $26,000 road, you know, when we have to.
Didn't he describe one of them was gonna have, I thought one of them was described he was gonna have more because he was running his own thing all the time. I think you said something about it.
Well, she
I
was
didn't part of it.
I tried to get him a dress car out of it.
I don't know.
Okay, any other, so you want to pass it as is?
Yeah, I guess $7,000 is a pretty big, you know.
Okay. Have a motion and a second to pass.
I was gonna say, Mike, we could ask them to come to the next meeting and explain what the difference is.
We appropriate the money, and I agree with Matt, but it's just, I mean, look, we got two of them for $26,000 and saved $7,000 or $8,000.
All I'm saying, it wouldn't hurt to have them come and tell us the difference.
We can either, whatever, that'd be fine.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carries. Before I forget to do that, I don't have pressure. Okay, Amy, and ordinance amending the salary ordinance.
Well, I had an ordinance that goes along with this resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
What's the number on that, Nikki, you know?
Ordinance of additional appropriation will be ordinance number 3.
And this is the same information as the resolution. I would like to also amend to add the weather reserve coordinator as well. The 37,391.
Since this is special appropriation, it's not first or second.
That's listed.
All parts.
Wait for the advertisement. I move we pass 2012 OR3 on the first reading, with the addition of 37,391 for the, water coordinator.
Water coordinator, yes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to pass 2013
First reading.
First reading. Questions?
I guess, next time we come back to this, you'll have that extra person on here.
Yes.
But as far as some of these cuts that we're reducing, where did those come from?
We're not cutting yet. This one.
We've got
The last page at the beginning. Oh, we did that one.
This is what we do too, that threw me off.
When was the advertised, when was the...
This is, I'm talking about reduction.
Well, we're not on that one yet, sorry. We're still on the...
I thought we did this one.
It's the second part.
We get to advertise it, I gotta do it later.
My mistake. My mistake.
We had a motion and a second, any other comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carries. Okay.
They look exactly the same, okay?
Not me.
This is one of yours now, here, Matt. This is an ordinance of additional appropriation by reduction. And if you recall, last year, we passed an ordinance to move all the police and parks and non-reverting funds into one fund, and that's what this is essentially doing. And it's also addressing the reduction from the 1782 notice out of parks, the 245,500. Which is the total on page 2. So we're basically just transferring money from one fund to another.
And Amy, correct me if I'm wrong, this is basically taking all these funds, shrinking them down into one.
Correct.
Which was our problem with Nathan asked earlier, was the fact that when we go through the park funds, now we can't tell what is, River Stage, what is this, what is this. It's kind of all lumped into one. So if we're wanting to be able to look at each individual fund and see what we're spending on a regular basis, then doing this takes you away from that idea.
Which do you prefer, Amy?
But if we were able to set it up, similar to the
with the departments as we do for these claims? Will that alleviate that problem?
Well, I think when you look at parks, I think a lot of us like to be able to look at River Stage, Aquatic Center, all the different funds that we have
Okay.
to see what's being spent and what the balance is. When we do this, you know, the Aquatic Center could stay here, but your River Stage may go through the roof in what you're spending.
Right.
And we have no idea. It's really hard for us as a fiscal body to track where your expenses are going. It just makes it extremely difficult.
Brian, when we discussed that a few months ago, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but they were gonna keep a spreadsheet to show us where we were on all of those line items.
Yeah, but you said with the new software, do you have that?
No, it'll be fourth quarter. We're implementing new software which will show departmental.
So I think we were taking the lead from Ms. Farm, and I said this would make it easier on her from an accounting perspective. And to us, I think originally said, oh, that's great if it's, you know, if you can make it simpler, great. But I think now looking back on it, if we really want to be able to break down each fund, then this may be where we want to keep it. I wouldn't mind having a little more discussion on this. Maybe we can individually stop in and talk to Amy a little bit about it, because we did, I think Ms. Harmon did recommend this, but, you know, it is harder to keep track of the individual spending.
Unless you had a running spreadsheet.
Right.
And then that was just so we condensed it all, but then she got turned around and created a spreadsheet.
I understand.
So this right, that's all we're going to talk about
A few months back, I remember.
And would you be open to us maybe individually at some point stopping there and talking to her and maybe revisit this and see what avenue we want to go? Yeah, I mean, that's fine with me, but I'm just thinking, I mean, if these are on individual fund numbers, you're going to have to maintain these fund numbers, and then once an expense is paid, try to tie that expense back to the original fund number, because it's going to be under a totally different, correct?
That's correct.
Because that's going to make a lot of work on you. I mean, I make a motion to table it, and the individuals have time to stop in and talk to Amy and let her absorb it a little bit and see what our options are, and then we may want to keep it like this, address it. I'll second that.
Have a motion second to table, this ordinance. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Amy, we'll still have to come back and reduce that 245.5, right?
Yes.
Right.
And that was in the 400 series for extra payment on this and part, right?
Correct, that's what that's report.
That would be ordinance number 4.
Cool. Thank you.
Can I ask one quick question? I needed a detailed history report back in 2 on where the funds went.
The way we've set these up, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the appropriation format, but you've got a 9-digit number. The first 3 are the fund, the middle 3 are the department, and the last 3 are the object. And we've set it up to where the middle 3 will be your River Stage or your aquatics. So if we did print a detail, that might show you the level you're looking for.
And not to beat a dead horse, I think if you are able to extract that information out and to supply it to us in an easy way, I don't think I have a problem if this makes it easier on you for accounting purposes. But
Okay.
if you don't see that this is something that makes it easier for you, then I just think
I mean, it
you're creating double work.
Makes it easier from an accounting standpoint, but I see your concern that you can't see where the revenues and expenditures are coming into each fund, so we can look into it, see what we can get from a reporting standpoint.
Was the motion to table and send to the finance committee, or just to table?
I just made a motion to table it, and my comment was, Nathan mentioned finance, which is fine, but if an individual want to talk to Amy and let her think about it a little bit, look at it, and if she's got a different option, or she wants to keep it, I mean, it's, you know, kind of concentrate on this a little bit, and then we'll make a decision. Finance or individual.
Budget salary ordinance. I hate it.
Okay. Sorry, Lori. Oh, we did, I thought we took a vote to table it.
A motion and a second.
Oh, have a motion and a second, I thought I did, but all in favor, we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, we did.
We do? All right, wake up.
I'm thinking, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Okay, great. I thought we did that, okay.
I must have been talking, when listening.
Sorry.
Finally, we have revisions to the salary ordinance. This reflects the changes in salary moving from city court functions over to the city clerk. The changes are highlighted.
Yeah, see, I was on.
Yeah, I was on highlighted. Okay.
Highlight didn't put on, it's under engineering.
Engineering.
That's the person saying they volunteered to do it, just from now.
That's the first time I've ever read it. I thought that's what it was, but it's not.
What that was gonna be, seven.
Okay, this is incorrect.
Yes.
We've already got a stormwater coordinator. You're adding water reserve coordinator as a second.
Under engineering resource coordinator, please, for training.
Just water resources coordinator.
I was a second. This will be on the first reading, right? So ordinance first reading? It's fine.
Yes.
Ordinance number 5.
Moving past 2013 OR5 on the first reading. Second.
Have a motion and a second to pass 2013 OR5 on the first reading.
Just
Any
quick
questions?
comment, please, when it comes back, we can make sure it's highlighted. It's a lot easier to just.
I don't know what happened when we printed them off that printer, usually it does. It's highlighted in our packet. It's had, yeah.
That's all right. Oh, in the email packet, oh, okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carries. Yes. Mr. Murphy.
For you is a ordinance amending 2012 OR 36. Hands you out.
It is a revised version of that, and I'll explain. This is the ordinance that was adopted last year in an effort to implement the regulations for door-to-door solicitors.
All we got, or?
No, it's in the packet.
So we'll do it.
This one's not in the good packet.
I mean, 2 pages.
There are 3 changes to this ordinance. First is the definition of what a non-commercial advocate is. What we are trying to do is not to infringe on freedom of speech for political purposes and so forth. So we believe that by working on the definition of what a non-commercial advocate, basically saying that they do not have to comply with this, is going to be the correct thing to do. And then also, so if you look on the definitions, all we've done is add one word, not, so shall not. And then second, for hours of operation, the ordinance currently says that there is no soliciting, door-to-door soliciting on Sundays, and none after 6 p.m. We've added the provision that limitation shall not apply to non-commercial advocates. And then also there was the requirement of a license, and as it was previously written, a non-commercial advocate would be required to have a license, and we've exempted a non-commercial advocate from that as well, the license requirement.
And the reason this was done is because, you want to explain that?
Well, I was hoping not, I was hoping.
Well, I just thought they might want to know what is the start back.
Well, that would be infringing on people's freedom of speech. Exactly.
Well, there's a lawsuit pending, and so we do not want to resolve to that lawsuit, so,
Yes.
not against us, against another city who has a very similar ordinance.
So, to avoid us being named in that lawsuit, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules if I can, so we can approve this in all three readings to avoid that lawsuit.
Second.
Have a motion and a second in anticipation of passing this ordinance on all three readings. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve on all three readings. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve 2013, what is the ordinance number?
2013 or 6.
2013 OR 6 on all three readings. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I have a question.
Okay, what's the question?
I guess I don't understand the legal part of it, Les, but we're exempting people which are allowed to do that. However, we're not requiring them to show any type of license required. I don't understand if an individual, by them being licensed, that's an acknowledgement that they have went through the process and they're coming to my door, they're soliciting, and we feel that it's like, we know they're legitimate.
Unless we make this amendment, when you go door to door, you have to get a license. When the state Republican Party goes door to door, or Democrats go door to door, any political candidate or any political cause, we are going to be requiring them to get a license.
And they will say that's infringement on it.
Exactly why this ordinance doesn't make sense anyway, because anybody can go door to door and say they're a political organization, and this whole ordinance doesn't make any sense.
Well, but the thing is, when people are running for office, it's released to the public who's running for what, so...
It would still apply to anyone who's doing door-to-door sales. If they're selling, I don't know if people do that anymore.
Isn't really the purpose of the licensing, it's irrelevant to the city if you're selling cookies or if I'm running for council. Isn't the purpose just to make sure that I'm legitimate, so when I come knocking at your door at 9:01 Sunday morning, that I have some type of run where there's some type of acknowledgement, so when somebody answers that door, they know they're, I don't want to say legitimate or illegitimate, that's not the term, but that there is something that's stating that they have went through the process and they have been approved. License, I guess I don't understand.
The government shouldn't practice granting licenses to practice your constitutional rights, though. And that's what this is saying.
I think it's different to free speech. It's making a difference between commercial and non-commercial. You don't have a constitutional right to go sell a product, to solicit from a business standpoint. But under First Amendment, there's federal laws out there that the Freedom Association has glitters on religious beliefs and so forth. So
I didn't think
that's why it's distinguishing.
I didn't think that was the purpose of this.
That's fine. But it's not.
Well, it wasn't, and we, right.
I think the first one was very broad. People running for office or for religious purposes, or were somehow caught into that in the first ordinance. That was
We're trying to take it, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think, without these changes, the bottom line would be for any political purposes, whether it be Democrat, Republican, running for candidate, promoting an issue or whatever, ballot issue or whatever, without these changes, they are going to, A, have to get a license, B... Okay, but
What's the problem with that?
You shouldn't have to pay a fee to practice your First Amendment right.
But I think it's about, I think what he's saying is there's a pending lawsuit, and I think there's other laws out there, other decisions in other states that we would potentially lose that suit, that it's a illegal or an unduly burdensome regulation.
Because we require them to get a license to show that they're legitimate.
It's just a First Amendment. I know, but you can't...
political speech, and specifically in Indiana, has very strong protection. We're one of the very few states that actually has political speech mentioned. It's actually mentioned as a protected right.
We're not stopping them from anything. We're just saying you show legitimacy by going through a process.
Regulation. Just like we can't pass an ordinance to prohibit someone from bringing in a political protest sign at a public meeting, because that would be an infringement of regulation under free speech.
Oh, okay, I don't agree with, I mean, I see what you're saying, but, that's all right, I don't know against it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed?
Me?
Two.
Not for that reason.
When was it two? Zach and
Begin with, because I don't think that we should put this whole on business.
Okay, okay. I'm going to pass this around for you all to see what you're saying.
Yeah, I messed up there. You second by someone else. You second is this, I don't think it's
Right. Mr. Murphy, is there any public comment down there? Anybody sign in? No. Okay, council comment. Mr. Smith. Mr. Zasavny. Mr. Payne.
Nothing.
Any comment?
Yes, I do.
We have great fun.
Saturday, Jeff Boys went to semi-state, and I want to thank Gray and Wells for hosting the send-out for them. And I know that there was a few of us council members there. So regretfully, they lost, but had a great bunch of kids go up, and really, I just want to thank Gray and Wells for their hospitality. The other thing, I guess I have a question, I know a few of us have talked about. Do you need to look at the spending ordinance of the $5,000 or more?
I'm going to mention that.
Do you want to do that?
I'll do it when I talk.
Okay, I'll pass on that one. You're getting on in about that. The other thing I'd like to know is, on credit cards, you know, how far along are we on the ordinance for regulating credit cards and so forth? Because every month we get bills from department heads, and I'm telling you, they're not having a meeting in this courthouse, they're having a meeting at Buckhead's or Ann's on the River or somewhere else.
Well, I talked a lot about that in Barnstable. We're doing a lot of work on that. And here, we were trying to get check accounts, how that would recommend policy.
I know what the recommended policy is. They told us that.
We have existing credit card ordinance
Yeah.
that requires.
It needs to be, yeah.
I'm saying there is an existing.
We need to have something by the next meeting if we can.
I just really think it's getting totally out of hand. When we have 20 working days in a month, say, business days, and 15 days on one credit card for meetings at lunch or what have you, that's crazy.
And $100 lunches.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to circumvent this. We've got to do something with it. And I don't know what the answer is, but we need an ordinance to tighten this up, and we need it quick. Because every month we talk about it, and every month it gets worse and worse and worse. So, all I'm saying is we need something. Are you working on that, Les, or you can do the one?
I've got a solution to it, I think I'll solve.
Get rid of that credit card.
But it will apply, which basically, my suggestion would be is that you're not allowed to, or you cannot expect the city to pay for any meal unless you're within a 50-mile radius of the city, unless you're having a meal with a non-city person.
Because I do run out to like engineers, because you know different business people come in and...
Now, I understand what they mean. I mean, the outdoor device, but I mean, I can see claim from city council as well. So I mean, you can apply both ways, and it would be a different policy if you're 50 miles or more away.
We said it was in our travel ordinance, but it wasn't in our credit card ordinance.
I'm just saying, if you could bring something in that we could open some dialogue on next week, it would be great.
Les, would you want me to also see what I've got?
50 miles, that means they can charge mileage.
That's it. Tommy, Stone's on the mic.
Just quickly, wanted to hit on Missing Park. Didn't hit on it in the Parks meeting because we were trying to wrap up. But not this past Saturday, but the Saturday beforehand, that was really nice. Went up to Missing Park and counted, I think, 18 vehicles of people up there utilizing the park, which I thought was pretty cool. And then also, this past Saturday, I went back in the middle of the day, and there were quite a few vehicles up there this past Saturday as well. And I noticed one of them said Clarksville Fire Department on it. So I thought it was pretty cool. We were pulling the Clarksville firefighters over to Jeff for one of our parks. Everybody seems to be really happy with it. I live in that neighborhood now, so I hear a lot about it. We took care of the fire vehicles out of Edit and Lloyd instead of Edit. Do we have, in the 5-year capital plan, is there a section set aside for the Parks Department? Does the Parks Department contribute to that capital plan? Do we know? I don't know. Does the Parks Department contribute to the 5-year capital plan? Are they a part of that?
Well, it was laid out in the 5-year plan, I believe, but, you know, that's not it's not a binding plan in any way.
I understand. It's just, we've talked about doing a lot of different things, a lot of large one-time purchases here lately, and I just want to see if we can try to maybe fit some of those things back into that. But I don't have to get too specific. I'll let you have the rest of it since you talked about credit cards.
Okay, just a couple things. Who's going to the legislative meeting tomorrow up in Indianapolis? I think there's 4 of us. Okay.
We're going without a credit card.
We'll leave at 7:30 in the morning. Leave at 7:30.
7:30.
And I'll meet everyone here. I'll get coming on that. Just FYI. And I would ask that we have an executive session before we have a final reading on the salary ordinance to resolve that matter, if we need to put any money for an administrative assistant, or if we don't. Maybe we put it in there and we don't fill the position. When I have state statutes sitting in front of me, that makes me look. So I would ask that we do that before the final reading. I found out the other day, most of the council's aware of this, but I'll make others aware of this too, that the latest Big 4 bridge ramp update that I was told as of last Friday was that our side of it is supposed to be completed late August. So that's the latest update, and if that keeps changing either way, I'll report that back. And then I also talked with the city engineer about Thompson Lane, trying to get that intersection, scenery well, moving into Thompson Lane intersection. And there's supposed to be a meeting in just a couple of weeks to finalize some things, and the intent was we should have some activity going before that. So that's what I'm hearing, and I know a lot of people are asking about the Big 4 in Thompson Lane, so I want to report that. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Scott, tell about ordinance.
Hey, real quick too, Russ has just requested that if we consider before our next April 1st meeting, the executive session, because he has another city litigation to talk about.
What time? 6:30? 6.
Yeah, that's why I'm moving 4 hours, 4 hours. We can really talk.
Okay. So it's April 1st?
First. You want what time did you want? 6. I'll be in New Orleans.
You'll be in New Orleans, you poor baby.
That's sorry for me.
That might be fine.
What time do we want to do that?
Okay.
6
o'clock.
6.
Well, while Scott's writing this thing, don't forget we have a meeting Wednesday, 5:30 with redevelopment, and then a meeting Thursday, I'm sorry, at 2 o'clock in Seymour.
Yeah.
We did that.
Are we,
Everybody plan on going up to that meeting? We go,
Are we gonna meet here and follow each other out?
Yeah, we can meet here at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, because I don't know where it is, just say Seymour's.
Yeah.
I have to-
We can meet here at 12:45. How about
12:45, okay.
Let's figure out who can go out.
And if you can't make it, shoot somebody a text, let them know so we're not waiting on each other.
Did you take it? No, he didn't. This is the ordinance, it's the same one that we passed last year, doing the same thing about capital expenditures. Got over I believe over 5,000, I got to my glasses, so I can read it. Capital
The
expenditures.
exact ordinance is there, do not have a dollar amount.
Oh, it didn't?
12,
Okay.
R-12, Connie asked me, I think just for discussion purposes, you said not that action, but the ordinance before me is the exact same language, resolution 2012-R-12, exact same thing.
Oh, yes, it is. Okay.
2012 and 2013.
So you need to do the 5,000?
Do what? No, I don't even do, just all capital expenditures, must be for,
Yes, I pulled off, it's good, a copy from 2012-R-12, did not have a dollar amount, I came back last year.
okay.
Scott, what is
If you do that, we probably ask, all we have to do is change all capital expenditures purchased over $5,000 be pre-approved, and that's the last paragraph,
last sentence?
last sentence.
Yeah, well, this is just like it was last year, so it doesn't matter how we all want to do it. The reason this was brought up is because of the vehicles that were purchased out of the forfeiture fund, and then have to come before us, then before the Board of Public Works.
Well, keep in mind, those weren't purchases, those are leases. So that's not really covered in this. This is capital
That's true.
purchases, not capital leases. So this doesn't do anything about a lease that was done in Board of Public Works.
Could be amended.
All capital expenditures.
No, we're not voting on this tonight. I just gave, out. Yeah.
Scotty, is there a way we can, why do we say it for the calendar year 13? Can we just say go forward?
What? Well, because, I mean, budget years, like procedure approved, budget years go from one calendar year to the next, so you can't necessarily bind yourself for 2014 for like a budget year, how to...
But if, I know we're not,
It's a procedure.
yeah, it's a procedure, yeah. You're saying you can't do it unless,
Per statute, we can set procedure
I don't know.
for governance of the city.
I mean, technically, because then once a budget's made, and if you're amending like the appropriation, usually that amendment has to be in that calendar. You know, I mean, because, you know, we can't pass a additional appropriation calendar. You pass a budget and that appropriation is in place unless...
So basically, when you pass the budget, we give them the money. You're saying we give them the money, and then for that calendar year, we give them the money. And then this says you can't spend the money on these things unless it's approved.
And we're going to
For capital expenditures.
that because of the circuit breakers. Just going to the budget capital expenditures, you have to put it with circuit breakers.
Anyway, so I just brought this up just for thought, so we can be looking at it, and if we want to change it, put leases in it, whatever. Is there anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yeah, that's something we have to have too.
Yeah. Well, somebody else said something that we could actually take the temperature money and put it in the anything over 10,000. How much money do they have in
You
there?
have to ask our guys, that's not, I want to see what the fund balance is. She goes,